everyone. So this is the first video about the Equal Protection Clause. You should watch this series of videos after you watch this series of videos about the Due Process Clause. So we learned about the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment last time, which says in Section 1 of 14th Amendment that nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process or law. And these videos are on the next part of Section 1 of the 14th Amendment, which says, nor shall any state deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. Now, even though it says states, like with the Due Process Clause, the Equal Protection Clause also applies to the federal government. The Supreme Court decided that. So the federal government and states and cities, no part of the government in the United States can deny anyone equal protection of the laws. So what does this mean? So in contrast to the Due Process Clause, once you watch the videos last time, you'll see the Due Process Clause looks backwards. It tries to think about things in our history and our tradition and what it means to be an American, and make sure that the government follows our own history of what makes us all so great. Now the Equal Protection Clause is the opposite. Instead of looking to what we've always protected in this country, we look to the type of country that we'd like to be. So the Equal Protection Clause looks forward to what type of society we want to have. And this makes sense if you think about the Equal Protection Clause being made at the end of the Civil War, right? Obviously, we can't have the same discrimination that we had against Black people in this country and the Equal Protection Clause, so it's looking forward to the new type of society we want to set up. So the Due Process Clause protects anybody in these fundamental rights. It protects anyone's right to get married, to use birth control, to potentially have a say into assisted suicide, and to decide what to teach your kids, okay? The Equal Protection Clause is group-based instead. And what this means is that the Equal Protection Clause protects disadvantaged groups. And instead of protecting disadvantaged groups from these long-standing ancient practices, it is going to try to set up the type of society we want so that disadvantaged groups can end up being treated equally, okay? So you're gonna look to groups in this. You're gonna look to see if someone's a member of a disadvantaged group. So you might end up talking about race, you might end up talking about gender, you might end up talking about sexual orientation, okay? So the Equal Protection Clause protects people of color, protects women, possibly protects gay people, okay? So the Due Process Clause protects anybody, whether or not you're in a group, if you want to get married or you want to use birth control. And the Equal Protection Clause protects you because you're in a group that is being treated unfairly and being discriminated against. So those are the really big differences that we're going to see when we go through all of these things. And something that the Equal Protection Clause and the Due Process Clause both have in common is that the government can treat you differently as long as it has a good enough reason. So in due process, we said, is the government infringing on one of these long-standing rights? And if so, does it have a good enough reason to do it, right? And it's gonna be the same thing for the Equal Protection Clause. Sometimes the government can treat you unequally as long as they have a good enough reason to do it. So these cases are gonna be just like the ones last week with the Due Process Clause. We're gonna look and see, are people being treated differently because they're a member of a group? And if so, does the government have a good enough reason to treat them differently? So next we're gonna get into the cases.